Hi, I'm Amy Sinha, and I'm here at Swansea Jazzland with American bass player Richie Goods. Hi, Richie.
Hi, Amy. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you.
Good.
Very nice to meet you. What are you doing in Swansea?
Playing a concert and hanging out and having a blast.
So this is your second time in Swansea,
Yeah.
Swansea Jazzland.
Right. And I had a great time the first time I was here with Vincent Herring and Earth Jazz agents. And so I was excited to come back with my own group. And this time I actually had even more fun because I've been here for 3 days and I did a clinic, met some great young musicians, and the first night I went to their session, they were jamming and got to hang out and sit in with them, and it's been really good. I got to know a lot of people.
Cool. So what band are you with here tonight?
Well, this is my band. It's called Richie Goods and Nuclear Fusion, and it features Mike Clark on drums, Tom Gorn on keyboards, and usually Danny Grissett on keyboards. He couldn't make it, and my good friend Trevor Watkis came down from London and played with us tonight.
Cool. So what type of music do you do?
Wow. I call it fusion. Some people call it jazz rock. But basically, it's a mixture of jazz, rock, and funk, pretty much.
So tell me, Richie, how did you get started playing the bass? Did you play that first?
No, my first instrument was piano, and I started that piano when I was 5. I started studying at 5 years old, and for 3 years until I was 8. Then I played the drums. I studied the drums for many years and played many instruments, saxophone, French horn, and guitar. And I just kind of settled in on the bass, the acoustic, first the electric and then the acoustic bass. And so now primarily I played electric and acoustic bass and a little piano.
So how old were you when you started on acoustic bass?
Well, I guess I was like maybe 13 or 14 when I started the electric bass. I was probably 18 when I started the acoustic bass.
What did you do after that? Did you go on to study it? Like college? Or?
Yeah, well, I was already studying in performing arts high school, and which I learned a lot. And the Pittsburgh, they call it CAPA, the Creative and Performing Arts, Pittsburgh Creative and Performing Arts High School. And then I went on to study at Berklee College of Music. And then as soon as I graduated, I started touring with a lot of different jazz groups and pop groups. I was touring with Christopher Holiday, then Brian McKnight, and then Mogu Miller. And while I was touring with Mogu Miller, I moved down to New York. And then I started studying with Ron Carter. I studied with Ron for a solid year. It was amazing. And then I met a few years later, I got to meet Ray Brown. And I studied a little more informally because he lived in Los Angeles. So I would just see him from time to time on the road. So he would give me lessons. And he would get mad at me if I didn't ask him for it. If I saw him and I didn't ask him for a lesson, he would get mad. And he wouldn't charge me for a lesson.
Wow. Well,
It was
I think
great.
that's something you will see these days.
Yeah.
So then what happened after that? What was your first big break?
Well, I don't really see anything as being one big break. I see it as just a series of breaks. I mean, from the time I was 5, when I was 12 years old, my counselor in junior high school, he told me I should consider music as a career. We were talking about careers. And I said, well, you mean like get paid to do music? He said, because at the time I was playing piano in my church and everything, and I was singing at the time. And he said, yeah, you can make a career out of it. I said, that's it. And that's, to me, that was a break. I mean, I was fortunate enough to have a counselor because a lot of people don't see music as a career, as something you do. That's something you do for fun or as a hobby, but you don't really make a living out of music. But he said, no, you can make a living. And so I was fortunate. Oh, man, I wish I knew. I'm going to find that counselor. And there were so many people in my hometown of Pittsburgh that helped me out and point me in the right direction. Dwayne Dolphin, bass player, used to play with Wynton Marsalis when I was in high school. And he helped me. He's another guy. I asked him for lessons. He said, no, I don't give lessons. He said, but here's my number. Give me a call. I called him. I said, well, I'd really like to study with you. No, I don't give lessons, but what are you doing now? I'll come over your house. And he comes over my house. And then regularly, he would just come over my house. I'd go over his house. He'd show me stuff. Anywhere I was playing, he'd come hear me play. And it was just a series of meeting people and, just learning and just staying focused on what I wanted to do.
That sounds great. So what bands have you played with?
Wow. Well, as far as touring, done a lot of live touring as far as jazz. Mulgrew Miller was one of my, I guess if you say a break, I would say Mulgrew Miller, because he was the band that when I got to New York, everybody was like, oh, you play with Mulgrew? And people start asking me to play on their records. They never heard me play, but they knew I played with Mulgrew, so they asked me to play on their record. And because Mulgrew's so respected. But I played in Mulgrew's band for about 9 years. I played with Russell Malone, Vanessa Rubin, Steps Ahead, the Manhattan Transfer, Chris Botti, the Headhunters, Lenny White, and then, but then also some pop groups. I used to play in Brian McKnight's band. I've done some live stuff with Christina Aguilera, but then I've done some pop records with Whitney Houston and Alicia Keys and some rappers like Common and Will Smith. And
which one? Which song of Will Smith did you play on?
That was, I don't remember the song, but
I do. You told me earlier.
Yeah, no, it wasn't the song Boom Boom Shake the Room, but it was that record, Boom Boom Shake the Room. It was on that record. And I've recorded about 10 or 12 songs, and they only used one of them on the record. And I wish I knew, but I know Frank McComb was playing keyboards on that, and Little John Roberts was the drummer. Lil Jon is a real famous drummer. Frank McComb, I don't know if you know him, but he's a real soulful singer and piano player.
Wow, that was quite extensive.
Yeah.
So what advice would you give to aspiring bass players?
Wow. Number one, a lot of parents like to tell their kids, yeah, it's good, do music, but have something to fall back on. My advice is the opposite. Do music, go 100%. Don't have anything to fall back on. If you have something to come, you ever sit on the bed and when you're really tired, if you're really tired, the last place you want to sit, and you have to stay awake, the last place you want to sit on is a bed, because you're going to fall back. And so don't you're setting yourself up for failure if you have something to fall back on. Do it 100%. Say, this is what I'm going to do, and do it. You don't go in any other profession. If you want to be a lawyer, if you want to be a doctor, you go into whatever, business or whatever. You don't say, well, I want to be a doctor, but I think I'm going to study music or something just to have something to fall back on. No. You say, I'm going to be a doctor, and that's what you do.
Has certain sacrifices come with it?
Oh, yes. I think sacrifices come with everything. I know a lot of doctors that they're sacrificing. They wish they could do what I do, but so there's a sacrifice in everything. But with music, it's not as stable. Most musicians, the majority of musicians don't get a steady paycheck. But you have to be confident that in what you do, and if you know what you do, and you know how to manage what you do well and manage your money, and you're good and you're diligent, just like any profession, you can make a living.
And you have.
Yeah, I've been fortunate.
So where are you going after Swansea now on your tour?
Austria. Yeah, we have 2 more shows on this tour. We do Vienna, Austria, and Klagenfurt, Austria. And I'm a fan of Austria. Actually, I'm kind of a fan of everywhere. I find beauty in everywhere I go.
That's very good. I think Swansea is the best.
Yes, Swansea is pretty cool.
Well, thank you very much, Richie. It's been a pleasure to talk to you and a pleasure to meet you. And I hope the rest of the tour goes well.
Thank you so much.
And thank you very much.
Take care, Amy.
You too.